From saying he had absolutely no interest in Amber to calling Chimera Bodyboard the worst pitch he'd ever seen, here are Daymond John's most brutal Shark Tank rejections. First up, let's find out why Daymond didn't want to waste his time with Amber. This pitch from episode 1 of Shark Tank Season 6 probably has to be the shortest pitch ever in the history of the tank. I don't really think I've ever seen a pair of entrepreneurs walk out of the show quicker than this. Bill Shui and Kyle Bird came in with an ask of $200,000 for 20% of their business. Well, more than a business, their company was just a prototype at this point, with no sales and not even a final product. Knowing the Sharks, no sales is almost always a quick-fire way of getting yourself out of a deal. However, that's not what got the Sharks riled up. You could see Daymond just a couple of minutes into the pitch, looking speechless, not knowing what to say about the product. As for the product, it was a public phone charging station called Amber. You know how you go to a bar or a cafe to hang out with friends, but your iPhone runs out of battery. Then you ask one of the waiters if they can put your phone on a charger behind the cashier's counter for free. Well, so Amber's was a charging station where you could potentially put your phone in a locked charging compartment, one which would only be open using fingerprint technology. And this would cost the bar or the cafe, wait for it, just $2,000 to install. Hearing the price, Daymond burst into laughter and asked why someone would want to pay $2,000 for something that was free. And once he was done laughing, he told the pitchers that he had absolutely no interest in this business. Even after the entrepreneurs left, Daymond called it an absolutely horrible pitch. Speaking of horrible pitches, we all remember when Daymond asked the inventor of the Sullivan generator if someone had ever called him crazy. Mark Sullivan came to Season 3 of Shark Tank with one of the most bizarre pitches anyone had ever heard. The guy looked like a mad scientist to begin with. And that impression didn't really go away even after he started speaking about his product. He had basically invented a generator that he had named after himself. This generator apparently produced natural energy by means of its rotations, but that wasn't really the insane part. According to Sullivan, the generator mainly produced energy, but as a byproduct of the whole process, it also deposited gold. Yep, you heard that absolutely right. Gold, the precious metal the universe has been going crazy about for centuries. But don't feel bad for trying to double-check that, because even the sharks couldn't believe their ears. Barbara Corcoran actually had to spell it out, G-O-L-D, for Sullivan to confirm. Sure enough, the mad scientist stuck to his claims of alchemy. Understandably, all the sharks were absolutely baffled by the pitch and were struggling to even keep a straight face. When the chance came for Daymond to speak his mind, he said that there's a very fine line between being a genius and being insane. After which, he proceeded to ask Sullivan if someone had ever called him crazy. Safe to say, none of the sharks invested in the genius inventor's business. Now, while Sullivan's pitch was definitely quite bizarre, it still can't beat the surgically implanted Bluetooth device from Season 1, something that made Daymond say, "I'm out," faster than lightning. In the first ever episode of Shark Tank, Darren Johnson came into the tank asking for $1 million for a 15% stake in his business. Thinking about how Bluetooth earpieces had become such an absolute necessity for everyone by then, Darren thought it'd be a good idea to create a Bluetooth earpiece that could be surgically implanted into a human ear. And on top of that, he also came in asking for a ton of money for a product that was not yet at a commercial stage. The product already sounded like a bad idea, but the tip of the iceberg came with the tip of the needle. You heard that right. Once the device was in your ear permanently, you'd need to insert a small needle into your ear every night to charge the Bluetooth device. While a couple of sharks still wanted to hear Darren out, Daymond was just repulsed by the whole idea of the product. Practically before even Darren could finish his pitch, Daymond already announced that the idea sounded quite disturbing to him. And before he freaks out completely, he'd just like to state that he's out. It's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, I'm outs in the history of the tank. Many weird products and entrepreneurs come into the tank and face rejections. However, even the better products sometimes have to face the music. Take, for example, that time that Daymond offered $500,000 to MaxPro. Daymond John definitely doesn't think twice before giving entrepreneurs a piece of his mind. However, some pitches and products are so good, they even turn the mean sharks into little fish trying to compete with other sharks for a deal. One such pitch was Nizar Akil Exercise Equipment Company, MaxPro. Now, there might have been some logistical and cash flow problems with Nezar's business, but the product had potential. It was a one-stop product where people could come in and do many different types of workouts. With marketing done right, to the right people, all of our gym freak friends, this product could really blow up. Just by looking at Daymond from the start of Nezar's pitch, you could see that he was interested in the product. The other sharks browsed around asking him different questions about the products, like what would Nezar do with the sharks' money? But Daymond didn't waste any time, and once Nezar revealed their partnership with NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal, he jumped in with a royalty-based offer worth $500,000, which would turn into 4% equity once the royalty payments were done. However, the other sharks started asking questions once again before Nezar could get a chance to respond to Daymond. Fast forward to the end of the pitch, with Mark the only other shark left in, Nezar rebuffed Daymond again, asking if he could ask Mark Cuban just one last question before he responded to him. Enraged at this point because of the disrespect, Daymond told him to make that last question a good one, because he was taking his offer back. It doesn't take long for the tank to become a very hostile place. When good, innovative products and entrepreneurs come in, the sharks can even turn against one another. That's exactly what happened when Squid Socks came in asking for $125,000 for 20% of their company. Squid Socks, as the name suggests, was a brand of socks that made socks just for babies. Since babies lose so many of their little cute socks every year, this innovative product from season 11 provided a solution for that. And being in the apparel business, Daymond was obviously quite interested in their pitch. He shared his thoughts on the business about how there could be some serious licensing opportunities here. Knowing the value he could bring, he put up an offer asking for 33% of the ownership for $125,000. Fascinated by the licensing strategy he explained, Lori wanted to come in on the deal with him, to which the CEO of FUBU responded in 2 words: hell no. As he went on to explain how he wouldn't do that deal with anyone since it's his area of expertise. It goes without saying that with the level of interest he had in the product, Daymond ended up making the deal with Squid Socks on his own. Now, while we're on the topic of rejections in Shark Tank, it wouldn't be fair not to talk about Jason Woods. Woods came into the season 5 of the show, pitching his Chimera bodyboard, which could go up to 20 miles per hour in water. However, at that time, he didn't really have much of a business or even a product. It was just a prototype. And to make matters worse, Woods didn't do a good job pitching the idea either. Unsurprisingly, he got a very hostile response from the sharks. Mark Cuban even told him that he's not even an entrepreneur, rather he was just a want-repreneur. Daymond John went as far as calling it the worst pitch he's ever seen on the show. Woods had to walk out of the tank empty-handed. However, his story didn't end there. Some people take rejection and decide to give up, while some decide to fight even harder. Despite his brutal experience at the tank, Woods took their advice and changed how he ran his business, and also enlisted another partner in the business. Along with his partner, he went on to raise $625,000 in funding, and also turned his prototype into an actual selling product. After this, Woods, along with his partner, returned to Shark Tank, where they got a deal with Robert Herjavec. They even got Daymond John, who called Woods' pitch the worst ever, to give them an offer. So, from calling Chimera bodyboard the worst pitch he'd ever seen to saying he has absolutely no interest in Amber, these were Daymond John's most brutal Shark Tank rejections.